Hang on. Oh, I barely sat down. Stream's already starting. What am I doing? Oh, hi friends. Hello. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Pixlriffs. Welcome to your Tuesday live stream. Oh, already a hype train. Oh, goodness me. How is everyone? Hope you're all very well. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you didn't miss me too much if you didn't catch D&D. I'm just here being a professional streamer, turning on my equipment on. Haven't even tweeted about this or anything. Oh my goodness. Hello, we're here. We did it. We made it. Congratulations. Let's do a tweet. Let's do a tweet and let the people know we're live. Blondie, thank you for the 31 months. Emmerich, thank you so much for the 10 months Prime. Ginger with the 43. Ginger gifting a sub as well. Thank you for gifting that to Blast Jordan. HeebyGeeby gifting a sub as well. Square Moon, thank you for the 11 months. Ravenfire Gaming, thank you for the 8. Honey Toast with the 13. And Medium Saucepan. Now there's a face. Thank you so much for the 23 months, buddy. Dogman Jack with the 15. Cassius with the 15. Whatever I did 15 months ago, people liked it, apparently. Hopefully that continues. Hopefully we get some new subs so I can say the same thing again in 15 months. Alright. Live on Empires. Wumpires. The W and the E are right next to each other. Chopin and Swimmin. I put an apostrophe after it. Silly autocorrect. There we go. Twitch.tv/Pixlriffs. Don't know why I'm doing this on my phone when I could be doing it on a PC that's literally in front of me. There we go. Everyone go and retweet that. Broken Physics, thank you for the 19 months. 19 months! Love the content direction with Empires this season. Keep on preserving anything that belongs in a museum! Oh, yes. Yeah, no, I did have a couple of really great comments about that. People were saying maybe the museum should be artifacts that are from the ancient capital as an empire, whatever empire it used to be, rather than from other people's empires, so it doesn't feel as colonial. Yeah, pretty sensitive to that, I think. So yeah, hopefully we can figure something out there. But in the meantime, I've taken the fossil from Jimmy's place, but that's fine. I feel like I had a hand in that. I feel like I was there for that, so that feels okay. And we'll see what else we can snaffle. But I think it is also kind of fun to show the history of the world through, you know, highlighting other people's series, so hopefully we'll be able to do some stuff where people bring stuff to the museum for safekeeping, that kind of thing. Dream96, thank you so much for gifting those 5 subs to the community, and Cake in the Night with 1,000 bits. Thank you for the 1,000 bits. Hope you all caught today's episode where the fossil got a new home. Smiley face. Twitch.tv/Pixlriffs. Let's do this. Alright. Okay. We're good. And last time I checked, Ollie the Orion Sound was online, but he may be offline now. We might have the server all to ourselves. It's a little bit quiet this week because everyone's still in Seattle for Fwip's wedding, which has happened. Congratulations to him and Mrs. Fwip. Hope they had a fantastic day. In the meantime, yeah, we're back over here at the ancient capital. Not much has changed since today's episode, so hopefully you all enjoyed that. We got the museum here. We have the fossil. We have the exhibits, the other exhibits. Everything's going pretty well, I think, so far. Going to turn my volume up just a touch. Maybe turn the volume down a touch more. There we go. All right. Any ideas what I'll be doing with the museum in the survival guide? I think I'm just going to turn that into like a manor house kind of thing, like out in the woods. I kind of like the idea of that. Speaking of woods, I need to clear up some stuff from my inventory. I took down the beacon that was over there by the trench that we cut in behind the gatehouse. And I'm going to throw some stuff back in storage, and then we're going to chop some wood. We're just going to have a nice chill stream today, hang out and talk. We're probably going to go and gather some coral later, because I think dead coral is going to be really useful for a bunch of different texture stuff I have planned. So, yeah, that should be a bit of fun. Pilo Try, thank you so much. Or Pilot Rye, potentially. Thank you so much for the gifted sub to Shiny Stuffs. Appreciate that. Thank you. So we'll throw the oak wood in there. We're mainly going to focus on dark oak today. Probably a bit of jungle as well. Some utility wood. I might need to go and trade with some villagers a bit later. I've repaired my bow. Still haven't repaired the sword yet. Everything's looking all right, though, aside from that. Got all of those. We got some dirt and some wool and stuff. Watch the last stream. Infested block frustration was hilarious. Completely understand. Yeah, I have now figured out how to edit schematics, as you might have seen in today's episode if you watched that. So I will hopefully be able to do that if I make the same kind of screw up in future. But you know, in the meantime, I think I can handle it. Alright, got loads of dirt in there, which is good, because we'll need to turn a bunch of that into mud for packed mud and mud bricks and stuff. There we go. There goes the hype train, folks. Thank you so much for collecting all those emotes and supporting the channel. I do appreciate it. I'm going to put an ender chest in here somewhere, probably. Actually, there's one up here. I don't need to worry about it being that close to the entrance. And let's see what we've got. We've got plenty of room in those. Fantastic. Let's throw the beacon back in here is where I've been putting it, typically. We've got 2 beds. I might put a spare bed in there. Anvils can go in there as well. So we'll put that in there. We'll put the sign away. Sammy, thank you so much for the 3 months. Welcome back. 3 months indeed. Happy to have you back with us. I'll put the scaffolding away too. We won't really need it for this. And we can grab those, put those in there. There we go. Iron nuggets can go in this one. Right there. Nice to be able to join in for once. Hey, welcome in. Always great when people can turn up if they're not able to join normally. Bowser with a brand new Prime sub to the channel as well. Thank you so much. Enjoy your emotes. Enjoy your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. I've got my bed on me. Fantastic. Alright, we're just going to go and farm some dark oak wood around the base here. And talk a little bit. We can catch up. Since I didn't get to hang out and stream for you guys on Sunday. D&D was great fun, though. We had such a great session. We fought a black pudding. Which is my first black pudding. Anyone ever had black pudding? Everyone like black pudding? Like the food stuff? Because it always... The concept of it always kind of put me off. But there is a Spanish black pudding called morcilla, which is... Now I've had it. Absolutely incredible. But like the kind of the weird hockey puck black pudding that you get as part of a full English breakfast always just looks horrendous to me. I don't know what it is. Love black pudding. Being Scottish, I'm a little biased. There's some people saying pudding. I don't know if people have the same concept of pudding in this context. Morcilla is ridiculously good. It really is. And we had some at a little like taverna over in Madrid, and oh, very good. I realized I need to split these up a bit more so that we can get some more saplings. My main problem with dark oak, whenever you grow it, is that the leaves end up overlapping, and then you end up with like less chance for return on your investment as far as saplings go. So we'll at least spread these out diagonally a little bit more like this. So has anyone watched the new Amazon Prime Rings of Power show? Because I've got Amazon Prime for the first time, basically, so I can watch that. I didn't have Amazon Prime before, and I'm honestly really enjoying it. Like, I expected to. Like, I'm not, like, a purist about Tolkien lore or anything. I really enjoy the Lord of the Rings movies. I've loved the books. I read The Silmarillion recently, but I'm not, like, diehard, whatever. Like, I'm not looking for them to do specific stuff with the show. I was just kind of curious about what they were going to do with it, and I really like it. I think it's solid. like, it's not going to be everything to everybody. It's not going to be, like, the perfect adaptation, but people are so picky about that stuff that I've been ignoring most other people's opinions unless they are a little bit more, like, balanced and, I don't know, generous to the fact that it's an adaptation and that nothing is ever going to come close to the feeling they get from reading the books. Heard the dialogue was horrible? I entirely disagree. I think the dialogue is very well written. I honestly think, like, there are a couple of lines that feel out of character for some of the different factions, but not necessarily the characters themselves. But, like, yeah, there are a couple of character motivations that feel very different to what I expected them to be. And I think there's a lot to be said for it so far. We've only got 2 episodes, obviously, so there's a lot still to go, but I love the environment so much. Like, they've done such a good job of envisioning Middle-earth as, like, a vast place. And everything has its own individual character, like each of the locations and stuff. It's much easier to follow than Silmarillion. Well, really, like, the Silmarillion is just, like, the story of a bunch of elves and how they all end up dying, basically. Like, the Silmarillion, for the most part, is, like, it's the creation of the world, the corruption of the world by Morgoth, and then the elves waging war against Morgoth and just, like, breaking against the rocks for, like, thousands of years. I feel like if you adapted the First Age, it really wouldn't be all that entertaining to watch, because it would just be a series of tragedies, and then Beren and Luthien. But yeah, there's got to be, like, better stories coming out of the Second Age. Obviously, the Second Age kind of ends in tragedy as well, but you at least have some characters who are through lines into the Third Age and Lord of the Rings. Biggest problem is that Tolkien elves generally are too aloof to be relatable. They've tried to make them more human, which robs them a bit of their uniqueness. I agree. I think the thing about elves, I was talking to my partner about this. The thing about elves is that they are very alien. And you can't push the envelope of what makes them alien without then alienating them from the audience, right? And maybe it's just, like, having gotten used to stuff like this in other adaptations, but you've kind of got to take it with a pinch of salt and think, well, like, some of this feels like it's being translated. Like, you know, obviously all of the elves are going to be speaking in Elvish between each other. They're going to be speaking in, you know, Sindarin or whatever. Is Sindarin the alphabet? Is it Quenya the language? Again, like, I'm not a diehard fan. I don't know the distinctions between all of those. But they're going to be speaking Elvish. And I feel like, because we don't end up seeing that, once again, that humanizes them a little bit more, because they're speaking a language that we all understand, and, like, all of the dialogue doesn't have to be in Elvish, because you're along for the ride, and so there's no point in them speaking that to each other. They speak a common language that we all understand. So happy to see Celebrimbor celebratory. It kind of doesn't make sense to make a show about the Rings of Power without the elf who made them. Oh yeah, no, I was under no doubt that they were going to show Celebrimbor for a good part of this, because, you know, yeah, he has to forge the rings. And I think so far in the first couple of episodes, I'm going to be talking spoilers, so apologies for people who haven't seen the show yet. But in the first couple of episodes, he is a little bit cagey about what exactly he wants to do. Like, Elrond is drafted in to basically help him project manage building the forge that will eventually forge all of the rings. But he doesn't say that's what he's doing, because you get the sense that he doesn't necessarily know that they're going to be rings yet. And maybe it's the fact that Sauron comes in and suggests the kind of processes that lead to them being the rings of power and the One Ring corrupting them. You kind of get the sense that he's just like, I want to do something big, and I'll need a really cool forge to do it. And then we'll figure out the details from there, you know what I mean? But, like, the whole point of the Elvish Rings of Power, to my understanding, is to protect the realms of elves from declining further, because they are underneath that, they're under that kind of doom where their light is going to fade after a while, and what the Elvish rings do, what Galadriel's ring does, is protect Lothlorien. What Elrond's ring does is protect Rivendell, and it stops it from falling into decay. So I feel like there's going to be some sense that Celebrimbor doesn't necessarily know what he's doing to facilitate that until Sauron turns up in disguise and is like, hey, how about rings, though? The elves should have used fabric. Very good. Very good. I mean, to be fair, the fabrics all look pretty good, too. Like, I've heard some critique of the costumes. I don't really care that much about the costumes. I think they all look pretty good. Didn't like Elrond, though. He didn't seem very Elrond. That's the thing. This is Elrond, like, 5,000 years before what we see of him in Lord of the Rings. And elves change very slowly. But at this point, he is Gil-galad's herald. That's the whole point of him right now. And, you know, people think Elrond shouldn't be a politician, but considering that he's the one who calls the council to decide what they're going to do with the ring, it's kind of his bag. Like, it's kind of what he does. But in terms of the context of the overall story, this is an Elrond who's still dealing with the fact that his father has sailed away to Valinor and been turned into a star for all time. You feel like that's got to have an impact on somebody, and you get the sense that he's still got some stuff that he's figuring out under the surface. That's kind of my interpretation of it. And other people are perfectly fine to disagree, but I do think there's a lot going on there that we don't know about Elrond yet, and a lot of his sort of cheerfulness right now is potentially kind of a facade that he's putting on just to play politics a little bit, you know? A couple of the major Tolkien nerds that I follow are very excited to see whether or not Galadriel's husband Celeborn shows up, just so the show can attempt to explain why on earth she's married to this dude. And that's potentially going to be a fun plot point to discover, because it doesn't seem like we've been introduced to him yet, if he's going to appear in the show at all. But I presume so. Love the moment where Elrond can't think of poetic dead animal and just ends up writing corpse. Yeah, right? Like, he's a little bit awkward. Like, he's very socially graceful around other people, but you can tell that he's still trying to work some stuff out. And sometimes being socially graceful around other people doesn't work. If you look at the dwarves, like, well, that's just yeah, the dwarves just aren't having any of it. It's very funny. Maybonix, thank you so much for the 2 months. Codex, thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate that. Celeborn didn't have much of a role in the books. No, he mainly desires to speak with Gandalf, is pretty much... like, he doesn't do a whole lot. He's basically... I've heard him described as Galadriel's trophy husband, which is very funny. But yeah, like, he doesn't really have a great deal of character, which means he's a blank slate for them to put a bit of character into, whilst also trying to explain why Galadriel is with him in the first place. Because, you know, because he doesn't have much character in the books, I think that's why people are a little bit like, why this guy? Alman, thank you for the 13 months. Love what we're doing with the videos these days. Thank you very much. I'm having a great time. I am having a pretty great time. By the way, for folks who weren't around on the last couple of streams, I've been getting back into Minecraft Bingo. We might end up playing a bit of Bingo later, depending on what we've got time for. Do we know who the strange man in the forest / comet is yet? Any guesses? No. There are a couple of directions it could go, unless they're throwing a massive curveball that nobody has seen coming yet, which I doubt. The main theories I've seen are that it's either Gandalf, Sauron, or one of the blue wizards, who aren't really mentioned in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, aside from, like, a side note. But Tolkien wrote about them a little bit afterwards, and they're one of the kind of less explored sides of Middle-earth in terms of what Tolkien wrote and made canon. And so a lot of the people who are massive Tolkien nerds want it to be one of the Blue Wizards, because then the Blue Wizards get any kind of exploration of their story and their role in events and everything. I think it's Sauron. I think it's just Sauron, personally. I think it's like a Horcruxes situation, not to invoke Harry Potter, because a lot of other people have had this idea, but it's the idea that most people will kind of recognize it as, where Sauron has split his physical essence from his spiritual essence, kind of as like a precursor to what he's going to do with the ring, right? Like, he's going to pour a lot of his essence and his malice and stuff into an object, separating it from the rest of his spirit. And so this is like an early experiment in splitting himself up, if he hasn't had the opportunity to do that before. And he's hanging out with a bunch of people who have basically no context for who Sauron is. A phylactery. There you go. Yeah, like the stranger seems like a character who they're building up a lot of ominous vibes around. Clearly has some sort of magical ability, but doesn't speak yet. And so I imagine the hobbits, the Harfoots, are going to take him on a journey, and he's eventually going to end up in the Southlands, which I think is where they're migrating to right now. And then he comes into contact with the orcs and that one kid who's got the sword that is clearly something to do with Sauron or Morgoth, because all of the people in the Southlands have these sort of loose connections to people who used to worship Morgoth back before the War of Wrath. And then I assume he's going to get to them, and then through them he's going to get to the elves and Celebrimbor. Black Steel, thank you so much for the full year of support here on the channel. Thank you so much for the 12-month resub. Enjoy your nerd sub badge. Everyone spam the word nerd in the chat, please. Welcome to the Nerd Herd. But yeah, I think Sauron is going to have split himself up into a variety of different pieces, basically. And eventually the stranger is going to come together and absorb all of them, at which point he gets to appear to Numenor as Anatar, and Celeborn, I think, as Anatar as well. I can't remember, like, what the whole thing is, but he arrives in the guise of somebody a bit more normal, right? Like, he's a shapeshifter, and that's part of the whole Sauron thing, right? He's Sauron the Deceiver, and yeah, he's basically pulling the wool over everybody's eyes until it's too late. That's my take on it, but again, like, they could be doing any number of things with it at this point. There could honestly be a bunch of different things that they're just laying in as red herrings. And honestly, they could be doing a double bluff where they're putting in enough stuff to where people think, oh, it's not Sauron, it's Gandalf, and then it turns out to be Sauron. But there are a lot of people thinking it's Gandalf because of the cinematography of it, the motifs that they've borrowed from Peter Jackson's movies of some of the stuff Gandalf does. Like, he talks to the bugs, right? Gandalf move. He talks to a moth on the top of the Tower of Orthanc. He does that kind of, like, wordless yell thing, and all of the trees bend around him, and it looks very similar to when he's trying to persuade Bilbo to give up the ring in Bag End, in the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring. Like, there's a lot of visual parallels there, but I think the showrunners know what they're doing, and it could be a misdirect. But the fact that it's not immediately obvious to everybody that this is a Sauron in disguise thing means that it's doing what it should be doing. If it is Sauron, like, it's at least throwing people off the scent enough that they don't know. And so that's what's got me curious. Sauron wouldn't care for talking to bugs. That's the thing. I think he has split himself up enough that this, like, avatar of Sauron, this, like, walking puppet stranger character, might not even have any of Sauron's memories or attitudes. Just, like, a vague idea of where he needs to be, what he needs to do, and this constellation that he's pointing them towards appears in the sky in the south, and that's where all of the Harfoots are migrating to. So, like, that leads him to people who are followers of Morgoth back in the day, I think. Like, that's my theory, at least, and I think it's, you know, it's pretty straightforward if that's the case. Like, I think a few people might be disappointed that they've been watching Sauron from the beginning, but the fact that they don't know they've been watching Sauron from the beginning, at least right now, means that if it is Sauron, then that still works as a device. You know? Could it be Saruman? It doesn't have white hair, so I don't think so. Well, that's the thing. Appearance can be whatever. Like, this doesn't look like Sauron right now, but it could be. He doesn't look that much like Gandalf. Like, I think the fact that they've given him kind of threadbare knitwear clothing to wear, and it's clearly the Harfoots that have given him that stuff, right? So, like, it makes him look more like Gandalf right now. But I get the sense that it might not be. When did the wizards get sent to Middle-earth? So, Gandalf, like, as the Maiar, I think they've just been around in various forms anyway. I'm fairly certain that they only get sent to Middle-earth in the Third Age, because Gandalf, like, it's certainly after the forging of the Rings of Power, because once he's there, Saruman makes it his job, basically, to learn about Rings of Power. Not the series, but he learns about the rings. Because his job as a wizard is effectively to oppose Sauron by discovering his methods and figuring out how to use them against him. Hey, what's up, Tubbo? Welcome in. Ginger, thanks for gifting a sub to Tubbo. Yeah, the whole deal with Gandalf is he shows up on the boat and is immediately given one of the Elven Rings of Power. So, like, he comes over on a boat from Valinor in the Third Age sometime, or at least at the end of the Second Age. But he's not there for the War of the Last Alliance, I think. Saruman spends his life's work watching the Amazon Prime series Rings of Power. Yeah. Turns out Corey Olsen is Saruman the entire time. Are all of the wizards humanoid in physical form? Yes. I think maybe Radagast can, like, turn into different animals and stuff, but they're all pretty much humanoid, yeah. Like, none of them end up becoming more elf-like or whatever. They're humanoid, but they are that's just still effectively angels at the same time. It's a weird mythology, but it's cool. JCB Sheffield, thank you for that Prime sub. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. What is Empire's SMP? It's just a multiplayer server with a bunch of content creators. There's 13 of us on the server, myself included. Each of us has a biome and a bunch of resources that we claim for our empire, and then we trade, we develop storylines, people go to war with each other, that kind of stuff. A bunch of Merlins, yes, exactly. Try and do a George R.R. Martin thing. He's a master of writing a story about someone unknown. Later you realize that he is very known. I mean, I guess, sure. But, like, it's just writing character twists into a story. I think that's what a lot of fantasy writers tend to do. They tend to, like, mask who the hero is until they reveal themselves later. I mean, you look at what Tolkien did with Strider, for example. It turns out he is the king. And he's like the future king of the entire region. Like, he's masquerading at the beginning as a ranger, right? But yeah, I'm looking forward to more of Rings of Power. I think it's going to be a really cool show to watch. If nothing else, and I said this just from watching the trailers, if nothing else, it's going to be really cool production design to watch for Minecraft inspiration. Like, if I want to build some epic stuff, I'm just going to go look up concept art and screenshots from the show. Because they've clearly got a lot going on. I mean, just the shots of Numenor that we've seen from the trailers look amazing. And the Dwarf City, like, Khazad-dûm looks amazing. seeing it before it's a ruin is so cool. $1 billion and 5 seasons are committed. Yeah, no, totally. Like, they have basically... A lot of people are saying that they don't like the pacing of the show right now, and it seems a little bit slow to get started. That's because they can plan 5 seasons in advance, so they don't have to cram a bunch of information in so that if they get cancelled at any time, they can, like, at least have told a complete story. Like, that's not the vibe we're getting here. It's all or nothing for this show. Any guesses on what's in the dwarf chest at the end of episode 2? Oh, it's Marcellus Wallace's soul, if you understand, if you get the theories. No, it's, I think it's mithril. I think they've uncovered a vein of mithril. That's probably what it is. And mithril is potentially going to be a material that the elves need for the forging of the Rings of Power or something, and that's what's going to create a bit of a dynamic of distrust between the elves and the dwarves. Because right now the dwarves obviously seem distrustful of Elrond, but they have very personal reasons for doing that. Figured it was the King's Jewel from The Hobbit. Probably not. Like, honestly, like, I can see why, but I don't think the Arkenstone really has any bearing on the story. It's really just there for the Hobbit side of things. And that's in a different set of mountains, I think, right? That's the Lonely Mountain. That's in a northerly region compared to where they are at Khazad-dûm. I think they found the Arkenstone later. It also depends, because they are doing a lot to compress the timeline, because otherwise they would have the human characters dying off between every episode, because it takes place over thousands of years in the written text. There's no Lee Pace in this show. Not right now. Yeah, I don't know if Thranduil will turn up later, but I don't think so. None of your Lee's Pace or Orlando's Bloom. Fred's swimming on Twitter. Who's swimming here? We're going to go harvest some dead coral later. Haven't watched it yet, but it sounds really good. I think it's good. I think it's pretty solid. If you look at the lore of the Arkenstone, the fear that elves would take it fits with the behavior of the king. I mean, on the one hand, yes. On the other hand, dwarves are supposed to be kind of obsessed with material things anyway. And the Arkenstone behaves the way it does, I think, because it's been hoarded by Smaug at that point, and there's this whole thing about dragon sickness, I think. It's been a while since I've read The Hobbit, and there's some, like, supplementary material, I think, that goes into it a bit more, but I think Thorin's, like, fixation on the Arkenstone is kind of, like, part of that. But yeah, I think it's mithril. I think they've just found mithril. Nice museum, by the way. Hey, thanks. I really like the builds. Like, I designed the build for Empires and decided, hey, we should do a version of this for Survival Guide as well, because the process of designing that was very much what you saw in the Survival Guide episode. But I really wanted to do the roof this way, because this reminds me a lot of the roofs in Elden Ring, where, like, the gold leaf is peeling off. Again, with gold leaf around here, right? Dragon sickness is essentially immense greed. Yeah. And that seems to be the case with Thorin and Bilbo and the Arkenstone argument. What's the plan with this much wood gathered? So, basically every so often I end up farming a ton of wood because I use it for all kinds of stuff. You always need wood in Minecraft for utility things, crafting chests, you know, you make chests into hoppers, all of that kind of stuff. Like, sometimes interior things, sometimes I'm building with full logs of wood. Sometimes I'm even making the six-sided wood blocks that you only get 48 out of a full stack, so, like, yeah, sometimes I just need a lot of it. I got a couple of builds planned that require a lot of wood, and I just noticed I was getting low on dark oak. And honestly, harvesting the resources ahead of time just means that you don't have to keep going back and forth tree farming in the middle of building a project, so it makes time lapses more efficient if I have all of the materials before I start, compared to other situations where I'm just stopping constantly to go and get more stuff. Unbiased tree, like the learning to shape a build, a good trick using a single block. Yeah, it's something that I know I'm not the first person to do by any means. I expect people were doing this anyway back in the early days of Minecraft because there were only a handful of blocks to choose from, and so shape was really all you had. But I feel like these days we get spoilt for choice when it comes to the texture of stuff, and a lot of the time that can feel like it holds you back. So I think it's a really useful thing to just take all of the texture out of the picture completely and do a lot more work based on shape. And I think that's a really important technique. And we were talking about it on my podcast on the Spawn Chunks recently. And Joel was saying that, like, as a visual artist, he's familiar with that as a technique that artists use to make sure that the silhouette of something is recognizable. And that's how you know that it's a recognizable shape for advertising and stuff. If you think about, like, iconography from major brands, like the Nike swoosh or whatever, like, you end up with a lot of stuff like that, which is just a recognizable shape, regardless of what kind of texture gets applied to it afterwards. Lesson of the day, collect more wood than you need. Yes, yes, absolutely. Helpful for a builder that's still stuck in 2011 building. Hey, no worries. And it's also a technique you can use if you're more familiar with other tools to help with building. Like for MC Edit, for example, if you build... A lot of the time you're building stuff and sculpting things with just one type of material, and then you apply the texture with a brush afterwards. And you just mask the material, basically. Imagine the server's been a bit quiet the last few days. It has, yeah. People have been on and off, but it's, yeah, half of the server is over in Seattle right now for Fwip's wedding, which is how come they all have wardens in their bases. Alright. There we go. They're on the move. It's always so funny to me when they spawn in for the first time and then they all just kind of hang about for a bit. And then wander off. Spawn-proofing a Crimson Forest, chop down so many logs for buttons, yeah. You doing a hoglin farm or something? If I go up here for a little bit, then they'll turn away. They usually do, anyway. It is quite creepy. Could put a warden head in the museum. I'd have to kill a warden first. Hi. You're right there. I think this guy's wearing armor. Can you tell? Haven't really decided whether to do with a skeleton farm or what. Is mostly a time-wasting podcast listing endeavor. Oh, fair enough. And then at the end of it, you have a spawn-proofed environment that you can do what you want with, I guess. That makes sense. They're there for the saplings? They better not be. Although I guess woodland mansions do have a lot of dark oak saplings in them, right? Ski Pro, thank you so much for gifting that sub. Imagine there'll be several warden heads on the server after next week. Potentially, yes. They're also watching me doing the chopping, yeah. Did Fwit put a warden in the capital? No, he only put wardens in the bases of people who would be away this week. Basically because he knew that they were going to be, like, off the server for a little while, so he'd have time to move them. Phenom Kagogo, thank you for the 18 months. Ashley McBride with the 12. Everyone spam the word nerd in the chat, please. Thank you so much for the full year support in the channel. Enjoy your new nerd sub badge and welcome to the nerd herd. Hey, very good, very good. Really didn't think ahead to the time he'd be away for his honeymoon while everyone else was back. I mean, I don't know if he's going away straight away. So I think they're going to spend a bit of time at home before he immediately leaves. But yeah, he's going to be away for a little while as well. So I'm pretty sure whatever happens, it's going to be good content for everyone. And that's sort of the idea. Love the video of the lightning we posted on Twitter. Yeah, we had some really cool storms the last couple of nights. We might get another one later, actually. It certainly still feels very humid, which is typically the conditions in which we get thunderstorms around here. But yeah, on Sunday night and Monday night we had one. We had a couple recently as well before that. Whip is coming back to no gold, courtesy of Joey, right? That's what we get having a pirate on the server. Must have sent the good storm vibes our way. We have a wild storm right now. Yeah, I think they're traveling up the country. I think my my folks who live up near Manchester are getting it as well now. Used to be terrified of thunderstorms, still don't like them. Oh, I'm sorry. They can be a little bit unsettling. I know that when one happened the other night, I was in the shower, and I heard, like, a bit of rumbling, and I thought, oh, okay, that's probably just, like, me hearing the water hitting the tub. And then I turned the shower off, and then I heard another rumble, I saw a flash, and I was like, I'm getting out of the shower. Like, I know it's probably still fine and safe, and everything's, like, insulated and whatnot, but, like, I still don't want to be around, like, running water and metallic fixtures when there's a thunderstorm happening. Just something about that just doesn't feel good to me. Like, electricity is scary. Funny how the sound of thunder rumbling is the same as someone putting their bin out. It is! Yeah, occasionally I hear people taking the bins up, or I'll hear a thunderstorm starting, and I'll listen out for how long it's going on for, and whether or not it sounds like it's moving really close, or if it's just more generally around, because, yeah, like, that kind of hollow wheelie bin sound. If you get struck by lightning IRL, it turns you into an evil Minecrafter. That's not all it does. I did want to find, like, I don't think we have a wooden bowl anywhere in the house, but I did want to post a picture the following day of a wooden bowl and being like, guys, look what happened to my turtle. But I don't own a turtle, so I feel like it'd just be silly. I feel like a bunch of people had already made that joke on Twitter anyway, so... I think it was Wattles or somebody was all like, oh, move all your villagers inside, that kind of thing, right? It's the same as when I post any pictures of our foxes in the backyard on Instagram, where I have a bunch of wild foxes that just spend a lot of time in my garden. And as soon as I post any pictures online, people are all like, oh, you're farming sweet berries? And I'm like, oh, shut up. It's not funny when 70 people tell the same joke. I have foxes, you have a groundhog and a skunk. I forget whose stream it was. I think it was, I was watching I Paint Burbs the other day, who's an artist who streams in either art or makers and crafting here on Twitch, and just paints, like, funny pictures of birds. And sometimes serious pictures of birds, but a lot of them are quite funny. And has a kind of outdoor cam on like a bird feeder that a groundhog ran past on stream the other day. I think while they were on break, and I was like, that's really cool seeing a groundhog. So much nature. I think Burbs is a Canadian streamer, but yeah, skunks are a thing I'm happy we don't have in the UK. We have badgers instead. Good video, love the build, like how the roof has prismarine in some spots. Yeah, I kind of figured that those were just going to be, like, light kicks. You know what I mean? Like, they're just, like, highlights where maybe the sun is able to hit some of the outcropped parts of the build. But then there's still going to be some... I didn't want to do it on, like, every single one, because then it just looked like a pattern rather than a lighting thing, you know? No skunks in the UK? I don't believe so. We also don't have any red squirrels, because the grey squirrels kicked them all out years ago, apparently. I think that's the way that works. It was very novel for me going to the States and seeing a red squirrel for the first time when I was younger. Yeah, we probably have skunks in like a zoo somewhere, but they're not wild. Claire Zulo, thank you for the 8 months. Can never refer to birds as anything but burbs nowadays. It's lovely to see the Empire come to life and see the amount of effort you put into what you do. Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad the effort shows, because I am putting in a lot of effort these days. In Holland, we only have red squirrels? Yeah, there's definitely a lot of places that do. The UK being an island means, excuse me, that, like, we don't get a lot of migratory wildlife aside from birds. So once something is effectively extinct in the wild in the UK, it's very difficult for it to be reintroduced without a considerable effort on the part of, you know, nature and conservation organizations acting on the animal kingdom's behalf. There are UK initiatives to protect red squirrels? Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's stuff like that where we know that species are endangered here or have been native to the island in the past, and we're trying to, like, either reintroduce them or protect them. Does hoeing leaves increase sapling chances? Not unless you use Fortune. You can do it with Fortune, but personally you don't need to unless it's jungle leaves. Personally, I don't tend to do it anyway. Because most of the time with the amount of leaves each tree grows, you should get a return on your investment. But if it's a pain in the butt to go and get that type of tree if you happen to run out of saplings, then yeah, I recommend fortuning the leaves every so often. Space Cats, thank you for the 7 months. Loving the stream. How's it going? It's going very well. Thanks for asking. And Juniper Willows with a brand new Prime sub to the channel. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. Would it be a good idea moving to the UK from the US? Been debating it for a while now. So my partner moved from the US to the UK when we got married, which was probably the easiest way for them to have moved to the UK. We were going to get married anyway, but it just made the most sense in terms of, like, getting a visa fairly easily. But back then the requirements were kind of different. I think the threshold for the minimum income your household had to have has changed since. And so, like, we were quite lucky to have got the application done when we did, which was like 11 years ago now, but still, yeah, still kind of an ordeal. Immigration in general is always like a tough process. And as far as, like, the cost of living here, right now we're in the middle of an energy crisis and a cost of living crisis. So it's not the best time to move to the UK, and, like, depending on why you feel like you want to leave the US in the first place, I feel like the UK is not necessarily much better. But we'll see, because, you know, we've just had a change of Prime Minister. Not that I expect it to change a great deal about how the country is run, but who knows, right? The visa process can be difficult in the UK. Yeah, Archeo Plays would know. You're up in Glasgow from, I presume, somewhere in the United States. I think you said New Hampshire before, but I won't be any more specific than that. If you come on a student visa, your time on that student visa doesn't count towards leave to remain or becoming a citizen. Yeah, so obviously, like, if you come to study in the UK, it is done with the assumption that you're probably going to leave again by default. And yeah, immigration in the UK is not the smoothest of experiences lately. But, like, you know, I like it here. That's about as much as I can say for the UK. I've grown up here, so I'm used to it. But that's not going to have any bearing on whether or not it's a good idea for you to move to the UK or not. Does the UK have a minimum income to immigrate? I believe so. Ireland isn't much better for prices or immigration at the moment. Generally wouldn't recommend anyone move here unless they have a strong reason for it. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I don't think of immigration as something that I would do just because I want to live in a specific country. Like, I'd have to have a stronger reason than that, personally. But then, yeah, like, if you've got career reasons to come over here, if you've got family reasons to come over here, sure. And I don't think, ultimately, that immigration should be a problem like that. Like, I would like a world in which we're all just able to move to whatever country or climate suits us best, because I know some people who just really don't like living in cold places and want to live somewhere super warm, and vice versa. But then, you know, governments are complicated things. I'm generally in favor of a more global society, though, personally. We live in a global society, right? The UK's on a rapid spiral of decline. Yeah. But it's also a rapid spiral of decline that is self-inflicted. And there is still immense capacity for change at any moment. Obviously, it's going to take a lot to change things, because we have some people in charge right now who are very set in their ways, but, you know. There's a chance for us to enact meaningful change in our lifetimes, so I don't think we should necessarily give up on the idea that that could change. Have I traveled to any other country? A few, yeah. My partner is from the United States, so I've been to the US a few times. And I've been to the US a couple of times separately from knowing them. I've been to a few places in Europe. Never really traveled outside of Europe or the US, though. Never been to South America, Asia, Australia. Like, anywhere that far away. Typically, because I'm not very good with languages, I prefer to stick to places where I can make myself understood in English and not feel like a horrible person. Because a lot of the time people will go elsewhere on holiday just assuming that people will speak English and then get rude about it when they don't, and it's like, excuse you, you're on holiday. But I'm lucky enough that my partner speaks a decent amount of Spanish, so we've been able to go on holiday to Spain a couple of times where I just appreciate the sightseeing and the food and try and pick up a bit of Spanish as I go, but I've never really been that gifted when it comes to languages. Where in Europe did I go? With family, I've been to France and Germany. We went to Italy for a couple of weeks, but we're in the mountains. My cousins are skiers, so we went skiing with them one year. I went snowboarding, but same thing. But then, yeah, I've been to the Netherlands. We've been through bits of Belgium and Luxembourg. Went to Spain very briefly with my family, and then for an anniversary with my partner. Never been to Greece, never been to Finland, Sweden, Denmark, like any of those. So many countries in Europe can speak English quite well. Yeah, but I also still feel like there's going to be people everywhere who can speak English. It's just whether or not it feels polite to me to go around assuming that everybody can speak English. Like, I have that kind of desire to at least make the effort. But I also feel like I could get out of my depth very quickly, and that scares me, you know? I mean, I could go to Ireland at some point, yeah, sure. Again, I just have to have a reason to go. Other than just going to look around. Like, I'd need to have an itinerary in mind. Going to Egypt in November, but learning Japanese, so that'll be fun. That'll be great fun. Try and find anybody in Egypt who speaks Japanese. That'd be great. Sitting down for a meal in Egypt and going, itadakimasu. French is a pain to learn, even if you're a native. I mean, fair play. I have a problem learning French because when I was younger, when I lived in the United States for a year, I was like 11 at the time, I guess. Like 11, 12. Or maybe like 10, 11. I forget where it was. But I did a year of basically like elementary school, like the end of elementary school in the United States before coming back to the UK. But the switch from elementary to like junior high in the United States is a year after the switch from primary school to secondary school in the UK. And all of my friends had done a year of secondary school at that point where French classes were mandatory. And I had learned a little bit of French in preparation for that, but I hadn't done like a full year's worth of school learning on it. And so everybody was basically a year ahead of me in French by the time I got home. And so I never really picked up French because I didn't have a good understanding of the basics that they'd spent a year learning already. So I ended up picking up German because everybody started German in the year that I came back. So it was kind of awkward for me learning French. Like, I still remember bits and pieces, but not nearly enough. And I only did German for a couple of years, so again, most of that is lost to me at this point as well. At least you're not trying to learn Quebec French, but all you can find is Parisian French. Oh no! I confess, I have absolutely no idea how Quebecois French differs from European French, but I expect it's maddening. It's like learning Mexican Spanish versus Castilian Spanish, right? Tuesday's become Chopin Tuesday for you as well. It's your only day off to work. Only a day off work without other responsibilities. So I spend most of it on Minecraft, chopping wood and farming. Nice. That's what makes you happy? Then good, good. Did French for 8 years. I remember absolutely nothing. Glad I'm not alone. But then I did French for like 2 years. We'll never master saying the in German. Well, yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of different cases. I think, like, my problem with German a lot of the time was not the vocabulary, it was the tenses and cases. It was trying to understand the grammar of things, where the rules felt more mathematical. And understanding what dative and nominative cases were was difficult for me at that age, and I still don't really understand. I think I might be able to make a better go of it now. But even then, just keeping all of the definitions of when to use different der, die, and das and everything like that, that all just flies out of my left ear. Genitive is on the way out. People use dative for that all the time. Okay, cool. Good to know that they've made it easier for me in the meantime. Das stimmt. German grammar is a lot of pronouns and irregular verbs. I mean, to be fair, that's also like English. English has a lot of irregularity to it. Doing both Spanish and French, but Spanish is harder? Oh, fair enough. I've never learned Spanish, like, formally. Like, I've picked up phrases here and there, but it flies out the left ear, then people just need to talk from the right. No, they need to hold a net over my left ear so that the language doesn't escape. Try speaking Dutch. I don't have enough phlegm right now. Koningen en Dag. That's about what I know. And I only remember that because of a YouTube video from ages ago. I know how to say good evening in Dutch, and I know how to say Queen's Day, but that's it. Yeah, the Netherlands, like when we went to Amsterdam, it was another one of those things where we were just able to speak English the entire time we were there. Best way to learn a language is to actually use it in conversation. Yeah, like, honestly, if it was one of those situations where I was stranded in another country and I just had to learn the language from observing people and them patiently teaching me stuff, and I had no alternative, I'd probably do okay. Like, I wouldn't just give up. But I think having to learn language from an academic perspective was one of the things that really put me off wanting to learn any languages, because so much of it is like rote memorization for tests and repetition, and not really learning to speak colloquial, conversational language unless you kind of went above and beyond and tried to do that for yourself. The difference between Canadian French and European French is the order how you say things. So Quebec ice cream is crème glace in France, according to my friend from France, it's just glass. I mean, yeah, sure. So I guess it's like a syntactical difference rather than necessarily a vocabulary difference. But I'm sure there are still some things that are either spelt differently or pronounced differently or whatever. A big motivator for me was to enjoy media in the original language. Original is so much better and nuanced, even if the translations are good. That's, I feel like, how I've absorbed any of the Japanese that I've absorbed has just been from watching anime or Japanese video games with English subtitles. Just watching people play Yakuza. I feel like I can insult people in Japanese pretty well. But insulting people in Japanese is more about tone. It's just about saying you with a gruff enough voice that it's an insult. Or telling somebody to die is basically, like, the most straightforward and effective way of doing it. I feel like I have a good enough grasp of charades to get by in any country. Yeah, sure. You just, like, sign to people, I guess. Love the perspective this season. World building's amazing. You suit an archaeologist so much. Thanks. Yeah, I try and downplay the archaeologist thing, but it does keep coming up. Like, it's a good way to theme some of my builds around stuff and have a reason to go out and interact with people and do little pranks and stuff. Like, I enjoy that side of things. I wondered why this one wasn't going away. There's just like a couple of logs up there tucked away in a little tree pocket. I think that's it. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any more up there. There we go. Academic versus IRL usage is frustrating. I feel like I can't speak to a native Portuguese-speaking person. And then there's regional stuff as well. Like, I feel like in the UK we have a lot of regional dialects. And often we don't account for how many other places have regional dialect too. So there are certainly people who will speak and understand the kind of English that gets taught in schools, but that's not necessarily their natural way of speaking or the way they grew up. It's just like what they've heard on TV from BBC News or whatever. The lowest common denominator kind of English. Do I know how to speak any Mandarin? No, I really wish I did. There were extra Mandarin courses that you could take at my 6th form college, and I really wish I had done them. Just for like a primer in anything to do with the way Mandarin is constructed, because a lot of it is about inflection, and that's very unfamiliar to me as somebody who speaks languages that are all about vocabulary based on words being written and sounding different, you know? Not having the same set of syllables, but spoken differently, meaning different things. Urban Dictionary is a godsend for anyone learning English. Gosh, yeah. How to not say really awkward stuff, I guess. Non-tonal language. Yes, tonal. Thank you. Yeah, I knew there was a word for it, but it escaped me at the moment. How do we get to talking this much about language without my partner being in the room? I feel like this is the most we've ever talked about languages without Kay busting in here and being like, so, the thing about language... No, I think they're getting ready for their own stream a bit later, so... Just look on Google Translate for the words I don't know. Yeah, I expect there is a good amount of stuff that can be done. Like, my parents recently were able to be part of the UK's scheme for helping out Ukrainian refugees. And so they had a couple of Ukrainians staying with them for a few months, who have now gone back, but they had somebody else that they could stay with, who is further away from the conflict, and I hope they're doing okay. But yeah, like, they basically interacted mostly through Google Translate. Like, one of them spoke better English than the other, but it was mostly just like, let's hold up Google Translate to them. Why don't I say wife? Mainly I don't say wife because, although my partner is okay with the language, when I say wife, people assume she, her pronouns, and my partner uses they, them pronouns. So I say partner more often than not just to give people the cues of, like, don't immediately assume you can use she, her pronouns. There are multiple shops called Translate Server Error. Could say significant other as well. I know, there's so much of the language about, like, gender-neutral terms for married partners, which is just kind of sterile. Like, spouse is another one, right? Like, it's never quite been the kind of language that we prefer. So, I don't know, partner is just the one we've settled on. Why chop trees? To get wood. You always need wood in this game. Constantly. For everything. I'm going to be building a lot with it. I'm going to be crafting a lot with it. Call Scott partner more than husband is what we've used for almost 13 years and feels more natural. Again, that's another language thing. It's also another, like, does it work for you in terms of, like, dialect? Is it easier for you to say if you're not legally married, but you've been living together for long enough that it's like, sure, this person's basically like, it's like a common law marriage or whatever. But then once you are married, it just, like, sticks, right? The old ball and chain, yeah. Let me get real sexist with it as well. Would you consider saying other half to be okay? That's the thing, like, I appreciate the spirit in which stuff like that is said. And, like, I genuinely can't imagine my life without Kay at this point. But it's one of those things where you don't really want to make it sound like you are not somehow a whole person yourself, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know. We've talked about this. Like, we've had the discussion about various different, like, terms and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. it just feels like some of them are weird to us. But that's entirely a personal thing. Like, I don't worry about anybody else using them. I don't hear anybody else say other half and being like, no, but you're still the whole you. Like, I don't feel like I have to impose those terms on other people. It's just the way I feel about it. It suggests that you're otherwise not an independent person. Yeah, we don't want to imply too much codependency. My coworker says she's married, but that's because in their culture, the length of time they've been together and living together is essentially marriage. Yeah, sure. Like, that's what common law marriage is. It's effectively like, oh, you've been with this person for long enough? Cool. Like, we'll basically consider you as, like, married partners, but without the quasi-religious, like, ceremonial aspect of it being in effect. Better half for the same reasons. Yeah, like... It's a nice sentiment a lot of the time, but like, what do you mean I'm the bad one? You know, it's such an odd landscape. Do I prefer dark oak as utility wood or spruce? I prefer spruce for utility stuff. I'm mostly getting dark oak for aesthetics because I'm building a lot with it. And I got down to only having a couple of stacks of it left, so I was like, right, I'll get some more. I typically grow spruce wood. The problem with spruce now is that it leaves pods all everywhere, so when I'm farming it, I usually farm it away from my actual base. Really wish we had common law marriage in the UK. Legally, it's not really a thing. Yeah. Well, the UK has that kind of history of, like, we're a very secularized nation now, but we've always had that kind of holdover from being a fairly religious nation that treats marriage as something very specific. Very specific and, until recently, pretty heteronormative. Ireland's even worse for religion influencing traditions. It's not my fave. Yeah, I mean, Ireland only legalized gay marriage, like, fairly recently, right? We have 2 thieves on the server now. On this server? A lot of thieves on this server. King Henry made an entire branch of Christianity to get away with the horrible wife thing? Uh-huh. Church of England is a weird thing. You and your husband got a civil partnership even though we're in a straight relationship. I didn't want the history and baggage of marriage. Fair enough, yeah. Like a perfectly reasonable thing to do, in my opinion. Careful the pirate doesn't steal the diamond ore in the museum. On the one hand, yes. And that's why I put it in a glass case, even though people said, like, you don't need to put the fossil in a glass case, and a lot of places have their fossils just kind of, like, hanging out. I kind of thought, I don't want people to walk in and take the diamond ore. Because that was the problem the fossil had last time. But yeah, I think me and Joey are cool, though. Considering what he said when he came to my base last time to get more frog lights. He's given me infinite access to his Prismarine shop and says he's not going to steal the gold out of my statue. So I think we're okay. Check the emotes because you saw the Space Cup and the emotes are very pretty. Thank you. Most of them were designed by Joel Duggan, who is the guy I do the Spawn Chunks podcast with. The Hype emote was designed by Amalith, and the Pride emote was designed by my partner. But yeah, the rest of them are Joel. On his recent spree, he didn't steal from me. That's the other thing as well, is that while I am entirely fine with doing fun pranks with people and pranking people back if they get me and that kind of stuff, I get the sense that my empire is not going to be the type of empire that starts wars with people, so for some folks it may not really make sense in terms of content stuff to prank me, because I'm just going to be like, oh, you rascals, you know, instead of escalating things. Like, I'm not like that in real life. I'm very much a diffuser. So I don't tend to go in for, like, escalating conflicts and stuff. And if I ever do, it just takes the form of relatively harmless pranks anyway, right? Yeah, I'm not getting into a lore war with anybody. Watched Impulse's VOD on YouTube. He mentioned me with my real name and he got startled. Yeah, no. My name is out there, and I use it on the podcast because it feels very strange just going by my username when Joel's whole online identity is just his full name. So it always felt a little bit strange to me to be like, only call me Pixlriffs. Put Joel's Lost Stratosphere chunk in the museum. See, I would, but me and Joel have already had this whole deal going on. Where's the mountain? You can't really see it from this angle. Imagine if it's just gone somehow. It's been stolen in the meantime. You can sort of see it from there. Yeah, the whole calcite back and forth, like... I don't want to do more stealing from Joel. And I feel like he made that such an obvious target, you know what I mean? Like, I try not to go for the low-hanging fruit too much. Have I considered something like Temple of Time from Breath of the Wild? Yeah. Breath of the Wild is one of those things that it occurred to me after I'd already started with this theme that it was going to fit relatively well. A lot of people think the Great Bridge is based on the Bridge of Hylia. It's not really. But it's like it's a solid thing to draw inspiration from. I'll see what happens, really. A lot of the architecture in Zelda feels medieval, but a lot of it is also more deliberate and has its own theme, and that's not necessarily the theme I'm going with here. But I've got enough inspiration from Elden Ring to last me, like, years, so... Is it based off of anything? The bridge is based off of the bridge that connects the first, like, castle area in Elden Ring, Stormvale Castle. It connects it to what's called the Divine Tower of Limgrave, and that's just a really big, long bridge, which is broken, and I was planning on making bits of the Great Bridge broken as well, so like a couple of sections of it had like fallen into the lake. But then I realized that if I do that, then that's going to disrupt the fact that there are 12 towers on the bridge, and I really like the fact that there were 12 towers and 12 empires and stuff. Put Hermes in the museum? No! That's awful. It'd be fun to take Hermes to the museum. Haven't played Elden Ring, but the inspiration you've drawn from it is kind of selling me. The thing is, the architecture in Elden Ring is all incredible. Like, the environment design is all absolutely brilliant, hence why I want to use it as inspiration for this series. But you still have to play a lot of the game in order to get to those environments, and if the Dark Souls style thing is not for you, then you might have a bit of a rough time. But if you're into Dark Souls style gameplay and you feel like you can tough it out for the sake of getting to some of the environments and taking a look around, then do it, because they're gorgeous. So Ollie ruined my deer? Not at all. I know it's a joke, but like, we knew Ollie was going to be in the server from the beginning, so it was really only a matter of figuring out whether I was going to take the 12th tower or he was. And really, I have the gatehouse now, so I feel like this is me on the Great Bridge, right? I have this. Which, by the way, again, this structure of things, having like a broken down section, very Dark Souls influenced. Imagine like having a way you had to parkour down there. The thing about Minecraft is that you can get feather falling boots and limit the amount of fall damage you take very effectively. So I can't really create a puzzle in the same way that in Dark Souls or Elden Ring you have those kind of like parkour areas where you have to roll off at a certain point and you take fatal damage if you fall past a certain point. Like, in Minecraft, that's absurdly tall. My character also isn't a ruler, so it makes sense you don't have a tower. True, but then there are other characters who don't necessarily feel like rulers in the same sense. I mean, like, what is Ollie? He has the Ollie Polygo, but, you know, what's he the ruler of just now? He rules at singing. There you go. Like the idea of you not having a tab, but the structure itself represents you. Yeah, that's also kind of a solid justification for it. Oh, he is ruler of the 5 blocks make up his cage floor, right? I believe he is still canonically in the cage. That's another suggestion that got a lot of people suggesting it in the comments of today's episode, is that I should have the dragon egg to put in the museum. Something tells me it's going to be hard to have him part with that. We'll see, but yeah, I doubt he's going to give up the dragon egg that easily. Elfwhip and Jimmy let him out. Oh, that's been in someone else's episode. Okay, good. I wasn't sure how far along people had gotten in terms of that stuff, because Ollie releases a video every couple of months, so if that. Sashay, thank you for the 8 months. Welcome back. You said Katie did. Ramirez, thank you so much for the resubs. Maybe you could buy it from him. That's the thing. What is the price of the rarest item in the game? The optics of a British person stealing artifacts from another land. I know. I'm making up for that by only stealing from the other British people on the server. How about that? One of the people on an old server of mine threw the dragon egg into the void. Oh no! That's the thing. On a server, at least, you know, you've probably got an admin who could return it if something like that did happen. But honestly, I think it's more fun if stuff like that happens in a way. It becomes a story that you can retell, and that's just as fun as having an object that nobody feels like they can touch. You can't just go find a new stronghold. You can fight the dragon again, but you only ever get 1 dragon egg. On Java Edition, the dragon only ever gives you 1 egg. What is it with everyone building taverns this season? I mean, it's medieval fantasy style server. Like, people want to build taverns. Like a tavern or an inn, you're just having somewhere for like travelers to stay feels like a natural thing. It's like, you know, in a modern thing, you'd build a hotel with a bar. I don't know, it's the same thing, really. Everyone just decided to call it a tavern this time around. Jimmy doesn't build a saloon. I feel like his house looks like a saloon, like his main house in Tumbletown. Do we avoid watching each other's videos? I think only if... I think I'd only avoid watching somebody else's video if I knew there was a surprise in it for me. But most of the time, I think a lot of the others just don't have time to watch everyone's videos because they're too busy making their own content. Like, I don't tend to watch absolutely everybody's videos because I'm too busy making my own and then making sure I'm up to date with Hermitcraft, you know? Sheriff and Wild West theme is part of medieval style. Well, no, but it's a fantasy world, so that's the fantasy part, right? Like, things can be a little bit fuzzy in terms of theme, but it's still, like, low-tech. Does that make sense? Like, it's not like we have modern society here right away. I going to build some sort of tavern in my empire? If I am, it's going to be a ruin. Build Easter Island heads scattered around the map. I'm trying to avoid too much stuff that's rooted in cultures that are still around today, and B, not a culture that I have any form of contact with, which I know is like it's Minecraft. Build inspiration is different from just straight up appropriating somebody else's culture, and I know Mythical Sausages had a lot of fun this season with people saying like he's culturally appropriating stuff from Encanto, which is I think largely Colombian, but he's Cuban, and so like being Latino is part of his identity and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I want to avoid like taking stuff like, you know, Polynesian culture and that kind of stuff. Like, I could build stone heads of a different kind. They don't have to be Easter Island stone heads, but still, like... I have more of a specific thing in mind. And most of the stuff, if I'm building landmarks elsewhere on the server, I kind of want to... I want them to have more to them than just being aesthetic things, you know? Could do the heck out of a henge. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like that's one... when Joel was putting together that mood board graphic that we were all just like cryptically sharing on Twitter, my area was Stonehenge. Because it was like, sure, ancient ruins, right? But I might do something like that around here, I don't know yet. Cobblehenge. And an ancient Celtic roundhouse tavern would be cool. Yeah, maybe. Could do some fun stuff like that. Building a henge, are we? A deep slate henge. Some kind of henge. Smooth Stonehenge. I always like it when objects just like fall onto a bed like that and they bounce. Polished andesite henge. You could have end Stonehenge. Or Stonehenge. After this batch of trees, I'm not going to replant anymore at this point. We're going to go... we're going to go grab some coral. I think I'll probably end up brewing up some water-breathing potions here. Unless Shelby has some in stock at the potion shop. Should go look. Am I planning on getting any special wings or tools? Yes, but the artist who's doing basically all of the custom texture work this season is a little bit busy right now, so... I have a mount that's going to be the first thing that I'll get, and then after that we'll see what there's room for, but it's still early days. Like, back on Season 1, people were still getting all sorts of stuff done this far into the season. Mother-in-law's ferret has the zoomies. Shout out to unconventional pets. Now that we have a car, it is like a little bit more possible that we might end up adopting a cat at some stage. I don't know if it's going to happen because we've talked about this and we're not sure if we want to adopt a pet again for a little while, but we will see, chat. Maybe in the new year. Watch this space. What car do I go for? We have a Hyundai Ioniq. It's a plug-in hybrid. We couldn't go full electric because we don't have a place we can charge it at home, but I think in a few years' time, if we can figure that out here, or if we end up moving or something like that, then we can probably figure out a full electric instead. Like, trade it in. Best go for 2 cats so they have a buddy. That depends on the cat. Some cats like to be very independent. There's definitely some that are like, I can't live with other cats when you look up the adoption sites, you know. We chopping trees or rocks? Trees for now and then coral a bit later. Once I'm done with this group of trees, which I'll probably bone meal a couple just to get them going, then yeah, we're going to go for coral after that. My cat's not a fan of other pets. Yeah, we had 2 cats before, both of whom were my partner's cats from over in the States, and they came to live with us in the UK, and they were pretty chill with each other. Pickwick was more independent. I think Sebastian was definitely the more social of the 2 of them, but he was also kind of grumpier. Pickwick was just like a bit of an airhead, but Pickwick didn't mind being the only cat after Sebastian died. Archaeologist who wants to preserve history but not coral. I know. It's difficult with coral in Minecraft because there's some really cool stuff we're going to be able to build with it, but yeah, of course, it's very sad that we have to mine out a coral reef to do it. For dead coral because it's grey? Yeah. Yeah, like I'll probably silk touch it anyway, just so I have the option later, but we're going to be using it in grey form. Who's my favourite Empire's creature besides myself? Probably Fwip's boar. Coral is renewable in Minecraft. The coral blocks are only renewable through the Wandering Trader, which I still think is not really renewability, because it's not reliable, it's not really farmable unless you do a lot of bizarre technical stuff like flinging him into orbit. Yeah, it's not really something I count as renewable. Any more stray logs up here? I guess we'll find out a bit later. Alright, we got 2 more of these to do. Alright, that one made it easy for us. What's my opinion on Minecraft inventory? I think it's mostly fine. I think people are getting more ambitious with their builds, and that's why people want a bigger inventory or better, like, organizational stuff for inventory. But it's so difficult to A, balance all of that stuff, and B, make an approach that works for both Java and Bedrock. And some of the solutions that they've wanted to implement, like bundles, just haven't been viable on mobile devices and stuff, so I think it's still a conundrum. It's still going to be interesting to see how they decide to resolve some of those issues, but I don't think 120 is going to be an inventory update because people have only just started talking about it, which is a solid indication of it being something the community is interested in an update for later, but they don't have anywhere near enough time to be like, okay, we need to pivot our idea, we're doing an inventory update now, right? There's a lot more blocks than there used to be. Well, there have always been too many blocks for the basic inventory. It's just that the amount of blocks people want to use now is greater because a lot of the blocks they've just added to the game, like Deep Slate, are just so usable for building. But Minecraft has always had more than, like, 36 different types of item that you might want to carry around at once. Like, I'm finding it good to just figure out new ways of organizing stuff. Like, making sure that I have certain types of stuff in my shulker boxes and that kind of thing. But I do think there is scope for it to be improved still. So we'll see what happens. What do I want for the 120 update? I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know which direction I want it to go. I mostly just want an update that everybody can feel like is good. And, you know, I want people to be able to appreciate the work that goes into it. I want Mojang to feel like they're comfortable with what they delivered. I just want everyone to be happy. Is that so hard? Yes, is the answer. Yes. "36 types of items, not even enough for redstone builds." Exactly. Like, you've got to have organization somehow. You've got to have chests, shulker boxes. Bundles are really useful from having used them a lot in this. They're just great. Let's grab the sticks. Let's grab a shulker box. And we'll stop off at my village on the way just to trade up a little bit and get this axe repaired a little. What are the rules for mild to moderate profanity in chat? Please don't. Keep things family friendly. Like, I know a lot of my audience is younger. Some people are parents watching this with their kids. And I would really prefer that people kept profanity out of the chat just for the sake of keeping things light and fun for everybody. Plenty of other Minecraft streamers out there who are fine with profanity if you want to go looking further afield for a chat that you can swear in or whatever. Alright, that's a little bit of repair on the axe, that's fine. Empire Season 3, Nether Empire and or End Empire. I would honestly like to do more stuff with the Nether and the End, but the problem is people want to build in the overworld because there's a variety of biomes. You couldn't have 12 of us spread about in the Nether or the End, especially if the End didn't have any biomes yet. And with everybody being in the overworld, everyone feels more connected. Crafting table. I do love coming over any of the hills over here and then coming back down into this area now that there's some more stuff built here. Like, I need more buildings like this. Because right now it feels weird having just like a ruin, a statue, a tower, and one building. Oh, and the mud factory, of course. Bring those dimensions to the overworld, make that the Empire. I mean, it's a solid idea. Let's grab some frog lights. So that we can at least bring something to trade. I reckon, a stack of frog lights would be good for, like, a few potions. If 1.20 isn't the end update, I will scream. Please don't. Relax. Would I make a roof on the mud factory? I'd like to. I just haven't figured out what build works for that footprint. And if it's a continuation of the ruins build or if it's something else. But I'll work on that. I will work on that. I think Shelby is out this way. Yeah. The moss carpet. Looks familiar. Alright. My first trip back to the Evermore for a while, actually. And that's the house. Where is the potion shop part of this? Is this the potion shop? The Great Brewery. Ah. Leave requests here. Okay, okay. Do we have any stock? There's water bottles. So all the ingredients are here. And requests. But no, like, pre-brewed potions? Is the tent because the potion shop mysteriously disappeared? Ah, I see. The tent. Oh, cool. Okay, I see, I see. Very good, very good. Now I have to remember what water-breathing potions look like. There they are. Do we have any indication of prices? I guess not. I was about to, like, click on this, and then I realized that's an enchanting table, not a lectern. Okay, so if I put in a stack of frog lights... Chat, how much do you think a stack of frog lights is worth in potions? I'm just gonna... Hello? Friend? Oh. Hi. Some people saying 6, 4-ish, 3. A lot of people in the chat are saying 6. I was hoping 6. Because you brew them in batches of 3, so I feel like batches of 3 makes sense. I don't want to just leave a bunch of mobs at Shelby's base. It's pretty well lit up right now, though, so that seems fine. So yeah, I think if I take 6 water breathing potions, and then leave a stack of frog lights in there, and obviously we can square up later. Like if Shelby wants more frog lights, I'll be happy to hand over more frog lights. I just think that's going to be a decent amount for us to go gathering coral with. Stack of frog lights is hard to get. They're easy to get once you've done the farm, but the farm itself is the difficult part. Do we head back this way now? I guess so, right? Or is this the opposite way? Who is this? Hello? Sanctuary. Oh, okay, I'm going the wrong way. Oh, of course, that's Lost Empire. Not Lost Empire. Forgotten Cove. Eversea. There's me. Which means this is Jimmy. Ready to finish up the carpet to his place. What do I need the coral for? Will it be alive or dead? Not going to answer the first one. The second one, I'm going to... Okay. I'm going to harvest it as living coral. And then it's going to be probably dead when I end up building with it. So there's a big old coral reef right here. Which I think is probably what we're going to be getting this from. Because this is massive. I'm going to go as far out as possible, just so the evidence of us taking it is not right by somebody's land, like right by Jimmy's place. And I guess we'll get started. I mostly want bubble coral and fire coral and brain coral, I think. I don't need so many of like the fans and tubes and stuff. I'm mostly after the blocks themselves. But these are at least renewable, right? And there's so many of them. Like, I'll get a few anyway, but... Yeah, this coral reef is massive. That's why I don't feel too bad taking parts of it. But yeah, we'll spend a little bit of time here. Grab a few of these blocks and whatnot. And we'll get some of the other types as well, because we might as well. But then, with Jimmy playing with the warden, Fwip has left wardens in the bases of basically everybody who was attending his wedding. So, yeah, a lot of people are going to have some free content waiting for them when they get back. Yeah, 6 easy videos. The thing is, obviously, like, the episode went out relatively recently, and people aren't going to be back for a while, so I think most people know that he's left a warden in their bases. In fact, I think he was planning on telling them at brunch on the day of his wedding. Be like, hey, check my most recent video. Just Axelan, thanks so much for that brand new Prime sub. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. Happy to have you. We'll put all the tubes and fans and whatnot in here anyway. He asked people to tweet at them on the day of release. Ah, that's it. Why am I not using a conduit? I don't have one. I have not, as far as I recall, gotten the Heart of the Sea from anywhere. Much less any Nautilus shells. Thought about getting one since you did the video on it in Survival Guide 2. Yeah. In this case, though, I didn't want to clear out a wide area. I kind of want to just take bits and pieces from here and there, so I don't leave like a completely bald patch of warm ocean. Stevie77, thank you for gifting 2 subs. So I didn't really want to mine out like all the coral in a certain radius. And also, it means an opportunity to buy potions from Shelby and use the shop, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's just...
I have 27 Hearts of the Sea, 1 Nautilus shell. Time to do some either drowned farming or fishing. Honestly, I think having some coral fans and tubes around as, like, dead plants in the ancient capital might not be such a bad thing either. Pixlriffs. You know, just the pun alone is making me want to do an Ocean Empire for Season 3 if we do a Season 3. Welcome to Pixlriffs. Got back a stack of Nautilus shells from fishing. Yeah, fishing is a good way of doing it. if you're fine like manual fishing, I know a lot of people prefer to AFK fish if they're getting larger quantities of stuff, but it's more difficult to AFK fish with treasure as your goal these days. I need to keep an eye on some of these because the blocks float to the surface without me getting them sometimes. Also need to make sure my inventory doesn't get too full. So we've got a few of these. Yeah, we're not getting too many of the horn corals. So that's fine. Don't really need the horn coral, the shape is not right. What big farm am I planning on making next? I don't know. For Empires, I'm not sure what else still needs farming on a large scale. And, yeah, I haven't really got survival guide episodes planned out at this stage. Be cool to do a drowned farm at some point on survival guide. Don't think I've got a drowned farm anywhere yet. And considering that you can do some cool stuff with natural drowned spawns in dripstone caves, and potentially have drowned spawning like at bedrock level, so it could be potentially quite fast. I'm thinking maybe we do something like that. We'll see. As far as like farming copper with it, I don't think it's really necessary. At least not at the stage I'm at in survival guide, because I have so much copper from huge copper veins and stuff that it's just not necessary. And the fact that copper has like much cheaper cut copper recipes with a stone cutter now, things like that, there's just so many advantages to getting hold of copper now. The reinforcement farm one seems like too OP, but you also don't get tridents or nautilus shells from it, so the old school one when you can farm tridents. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'd really like to do, because then you can play around with tridents all you want. You can make a trident, like, Riptide golf course if you want to. Like, there's a lot of fun you can have with stuff like that. Shout out to these pufferfish that just seem to hang around me. Probably gotten over 10 stacks of copper blocks from mining out a single dripstone cave, and that could be 40 stacks of cut copper blocks because of the stone cutter thing, so... And the thing is, if you have a productive enough drowned farm from natural spawns, you still get a decent amount of copper. Like, with the drowned farm that I made on last season of Empires, it wasn't super productive, but it was still viable, and it gave me a decent amount of copper. Back then, also, you didn't have... you didn't have the same copper block recipe that you do now. Like, copper was still a 2x2, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure. But it was also before they made the changes to copper dropping more ores with fortune and stuff. There's a couple of things that have changed about copper in recent memory. Whatever happened to the Desert Empire I did, that was Season 1, and Season 1 ended. I didn't really have an ending in mind for it in terms of the story, because at that point I was too focused on Survival Guide. Alright, we need more blue, we need more bubble coral. But any more of this stuff I can get, that's going to be probably the most important. Any plans to get a conduit this season? I mean, maybe, but I'm so far away from water most of the time that I don't really need one. Like, in the savannah, it feels like a pretty dry environment to begin with. Are the builders from Season 1 in this world? No, it's a fresh world, a fresh 119 world. Some people have suggested that some of the ruins I should build at some stage should be from the previous empires, but personally I don't think that makes any sense. Unless it's part of somebody else's story. Like, I'm not going to be rebuilding anything from last season, because frankly I don't find that as fun creatively. Like, I'm just copying somebody else's builds instead of doing my own. Would I ever do a video of return to my old series world like RTX World, Survival Season 1 and Hardcore? Hardcore, no, because there's just nothing really there. Like, I didn't do much in that world, because I just lost any kind of interest in it. And Survival Guide Season 1, I'm happy to have moved on from at this point. We did an RTX tour of the world, like, relatively close to the finish of the season. But that also meant importing the entire world into Bedrock Edition, and at the time there were some pretty major issues with doing that. Just introduced my son to Minecraft and using Survival Guide to teach him about it. Nice! Welcome on into the stream if it's your first time here. Most of the behind-the-scenes work for the series gets done here. Always happy to see new faces. Yeah, we need more blue. We need more, whatever the blue is. Tube coral. Let's grab a patch like this. These are always good. Just saw the most recent Empires episode, loved it, enjoy how the capital is coming together. Thanks. Yeah, I'm hoping to do some more building for, like, structures similar to the museum kind of build, so we can establish a bit more of an architectural style instead of a loose collection of buildings. I do like the idea of it being a mix of architectural styles, though, kind of like how there's different areas of, say, like London, for example. It's a city that's been around for millennia. In various forms. I like the idea of it being like some of it has been destroyed and remade and then destroyed again, and some stuff has been preserved even before I got there. And there's some stuff that's maybe being rebuilt. I don't know. Does the capital have an official name? It's just the ancient capital. That's what I've been calling it in my videos. It doesn't have a... like a government name. Doesn't have a name like Mythland or Sanctuary or whatever. Although even Sanctuary is just like, it's a word. Rather than it being any kind of proper name in the sense of any of that stuff. Well, that was good timing. Gonna drink this so the water bottle stacks, because I immediately scooped up some more water. So far out of everyone's theme, which one is my favorite? I can't really pick favorites from the Empire's crew, because I really like what so many of them are doing, that calling any of them my favorite feels like it's doing a disservice to everybody else. I'm like that with favorites these days, though. I don't really pick favorites from stuff. I don't even feel like I have a favorite food, because I just like a lot of food. Same with music. Don't really have favorite artists these days, because I'm just always interested in listening to something new. What do you need the coral for? I've got a couple of projects in mind that will require dead coral. I'm grabbing the live coral with Silk Touch just so I can have the option of building with it later, but for the moment I think dead coral is going to make a good texture block for a couple of upcoming projects, and I won't be revealing all of the details here, but I got some stuff planned. Shanhu, thank you for the 8 months. And Luna, thank you so much for the Prime sub earlier. Sorry if I missed that one. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. Shan, welcome back. We see more building videos for the survival guide. I would like to do them. I don't have any specifically in mind yet, but I don't plan videos for survival guide particularly far in advance. It's sort of a case where I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what am I going to do in this video? And then an idea will come to me. I did, a while back, have a list of different topics I wanted to cover, so I might return to that list and see if there are any I've covered incidentally or any that I can just pick up where I left off, kind of thing. Is the building project a secret? Well, I'm not revealing any of the details of it, so yes, in that sense, it is a secret. It may have to do with other people's lore. What's the best way to get a mending book or enchantment? I've made several librarians in this world, none of them have it. The typical way people tend to do it is to get a lectern, give it to a librarian, see if their first trades have the mending book, and if they don't, then you break the lectern, you replace it, and their trades should be different when you put it back. Now, that's not going to work every time, and I believe on Bedrock Edition, the order trades appear is different, so if you're playing on Bedrock, you may not be able to do that. But that is typically the way I've seen other people do it. That's the way I tend to do it as well. Nothing really useful here. Mending leggings. Bit of iron. There. Yeah, I don't know if Bedrock Edition gives you book trades from, like, the first trades you get from librarians, but outside of that, you can fish for enchanted books, and sometimes mending will come up there, but villagers are the most reliable way of getting it long-term. In my opinion, it's just the most straightforward way to do it. What I'm most excited about this season? Some of the projects I've been doing where I'm building stuff for other people, building, like, custom dungeons further elsewhere in the world. And yeah, honestly, just building up my little area. I've got a really solid theme this time around. I'm motivated to build. I have a bunch of different ways of drafting builds now, and Lightmatica has been super helpful in rebuilding them in survival. Now that I've taken to drafting stuff in creative so that I can get the aesthetics down without having to do all of the trial and error in survival. So I'm really happy with what I've been building, and I've got lots of plans for other stuff to build. Manual workers level 1 trade just takes a long time on Bedrock. Yeah, fair enough. Sometimes it's just about getting lucky. Like, sometimes they have mending the first time you put a lectern down, and you're like, oh, wow, that's cool. And honestly, like, don't get too picky about prices is the other thing, because emeralds are pretty easy to get. Even if it's, like, they're trading you mending for, like, 26 emeralds or something like that. Like, you can get it as cheap as 8 or 10, but mending's mending, you know? I would only re-roll a trade of mending for a cheaper price if you have a lot of time on your hands. Okay, I think that should be enough. I think that should be enough. So we actually got through 3 of our water-breathing potions, and if I need more, I can come back and get more. Which way is north? There we go, okay. Let's head on back and see if we can get through the Tumbletown nether portal without Jimmy's warden eating me. Casper, thank you for the 6 months of Prime. Welcome back. These guys don't have an allay, right? No. There's an iron golem in there. There's also a villager on the... Oh, no, it's a pillager, not a villager. It looked like a villager from a distance. I was like, why is there a villager on the roof? Can also zombify and heal. Yeah, if you want cheaper prices, you can do that. Oh, that's right. It's in the present. I see. Well, just gonna fly around that, I think. Briefly thought that was a sculpture of my head. Nope. He didn't take the alien down. I mean, maybe he wants it around as a reminder. Good. He's got a claw machine now. I know. I've heard of the claw machine. All right. That's where we're going to leave it on Empires for today. We're going to head over to Minecraft Bingo, and we're going to play a couple of rounds, because I was having a lot of fun with Minecraft Bingo last time. I think we can do well. I'm going to load up 1.16.5, which is the version that Bingo is played in, so let me change the title here. There we go. So, for those unfamiliar with Fetcher, which is the new name for Minecraft Bingo by Neuneinzer, Vixen, thank you so much for the 43 months. Don't work too hard. This is a really, really neat little game mode. It's been play-tested by all of these people, in which you get a bingo card generated randomly from a set list of items. I think the items are all in here, actually. These are all, like, different categories of items, like stuff that you need from different aspects of the game, rare items from different locations, that kind of stuff. And it generates a bingo card of 25 items from those categories, and the idea is that you have to find all of them in a biome, a world with small biomes, in the shortest possible time. And you can play this in teams if it's on a server. We're in a single-player world here. The idea is that we're just going to go around getting all of these, and we're going to try and do that in less than 40 minutes, I think was my best time last time. Previously, I've got as low as like 21 minutes, but I think sub 40 is usually a pretty good goal. And when I've been watching... oh, Queen, thank you so much for gifting 5 subs. When I've been watching Bruno play this in the past, he always asks chat for a number between 1 and 30, and that's how many times we hit random, and that will determine the bingo card that we go with. So, chat, spam numbers between 1 and 30. Go. 6, 17, 8, 21, 14, 12, 16, 27. A lot of odd numbers. Everyone seems to go for odd numbers a lot of the time. I saw a couple of people saying 14. We're going to go with 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. That's not looking too bad. That's not looking terrible. We've got the target block, which is always a bit of a pain. Pumpkin pie will require us to get an egg quite early, so we'll look for that. There's a bit of iron going into these and the buckets. Dead bush needs shears. Empty map requires a compass. We'll need to get an ender pearl. That's usually pretty tough. Finding enderman is often difficult. And the bookshelf is a bit of an odd one as well. I've not really seen bookshelf that often. The rest of this seems like it'll be okay. Saddles are also a bit awkward, but we'll see what we get. What we get is an ocean start. Mushroom Island over there. Coral Reef there. But we don't need... Oh, we do need sea pickles. Oh, there's Coral Reef there as well. That's closer to land. There's a desert over there. Perfect. We'll go that way. I don't see a shipwreck anywhere. Shipwrecks are usually a really good start when you get, like, early game resources from them and stuff. So we'll swim to land. We'll get a... Oh, there's a magma ravine down there as well. That'll be good for the redstone. Okay. We'll swim to land. We'll try and come back to spawn for that ravine. And I'll look around and see if there are any ocean ruins as well, because they're usually pretty useful. But basically, you do this in survival mode, so you get launched into far-flung coordinates of the map. Your relative coordinates are displayed above the hotbar there, along with the timer. That's the clock symbol. It also shows you which direction you're facing with that handy compass. It's kind of got a dashboard to it now. It shows your Y coordinate, and it also shows the relative coordinates in the chunk so that you can see if you're at 9-9 to collect some buried treasure. Kane Boa, thank you for the 3 months of Prime. Ginger with 100 bits. Stevie with the 300s. Queen gifting another sub. Sketchpunk. Stardust, thank you for the bits. Axionim, thank you for the bits. We've got a rolling hype train right now that I will not be able to pay as much attention to if we're doing the bingo thing, but here we go. Would I do multiplayer bingo with Solidarity? I would. I would not mind that. Then again, he's got a different group of people that he sometimes plays with, so it's whether or not I'd be invited. And I know the Minecraft bingo they play is more about getting like stacks of items, and there's different challenges involved, whereas this is Fetcher by Noinine, so it's a lot faster, I think. So we're going to do the usual survival thing. We've got to get a couple of tools. We've got to get enough stone for a furnace so that we can smelt some of the stuff that we need to get here. So I'm going to grab a decent amount of stone. Pillar back up here. Start making some stuff. We'll need an axe. We'll grab a hoe. We're going to make a furnace. And I guess we'll make a boat. Some more sticks. We'll need a shovel as well. I think that'll be enough to get us started. We'll need birch saplings, so let's try and take down a couple of birch trees for wood as well. This is really all we need the hoe for, but it just makes getting the leaves slightly faster here at the beginning. Sylvan Feather, thank you for the 100 bits. There we go, we've got our birch sapling. Now we need to... Let's go out to this ravine. Actually, first of all, let's craft ourselves some doors. You also can't mine stuff particularly fast from boats. So the ravine is probably our best bet to see if there's any iron down here. We want to get some early iron, but we also want to get some redstone. Oh, good. There's some iron right here. Perfect. Oh, and there's redstone right next to it as well. So the iron is really just to start us off getting, like, a pickaxe and whatnot. And this is 116 as well, so... Oh, there's diamonds right there. Perfect. Hopefully there's more than one of those. Yeah, in 116 you don't get raw material from ores, you get the ore blocks themselves, which is something that people have forgotten now that that's been the case since 1.17. There's some old ore textures and stuff as well. It can be a little bit weird for people who haven't seen this for a bit. Right, so we can put that there. We can get 3 iron ingots and have an iron pickaxe. Perfect. Alright, let's go this way. Grab the diamonds from over here. Alright, there's 2. Perfect. Oh, there's more than 2 even. Even better. So we can get a diamond pickaxe or a diamond axe from this. Each of the items that you collect for the bingo card are taken away from you when you get them. Oh, that's a brilliant amount of redstone as well. This is actually a really solid start. Got to make sure we're not completely underwater. I don't think we need gold for anything, which is unusual, but there it is. Right, so we can make a diamond sword already, so that's gone. I guess... Yeah, let's make a pickaxe. Let's actually make a diamond sword that we can use. That way we don't need to use the axe as a weapon. And that will actually be really good. Hello, come back. Okay, so I think we have all the redstone that we need. We've got a decent amount of iron. We will need a bit more iron, but it's going to be easier to get now we have a diamond pickaxe. Because it'll break faster. There we go. There's a ton of iron over here, which is great. This is really solid. To get us started here, I think this might actually be as much iron as we will need the entire run. Oh, our door just floated up. There's a baby zombie somewhere, but I don't care. We are gone. Okay, so we have our crafting table, we have all of that stuff, we have our boat ready. We can get going here. Right, what else do we need? We needed to go back to the desert. We've got the sea pickle over there from the coral reef. We might need a bit more iron later, but that's okay. 23 is a good start. Block Oracle, thank you for the 4 months. We can get iron from basically anywhere in the world, so that's not a huge issue. We're going to be looking around at spawn here in case any chickens have laid some eggs. We can also maybe get some more stone from around here too. This chicken should have laid an egg. It has. Perfect. Good egg strats. Very important for bingo. Okay, so we'll throw the iron in here. I'll dig down a little bit, if I can find my shovel. Honestly, we're just fine getting some blocks here and there. What I really need right now is coal. Incredible. That's very, very good. We don't really need the gravel for anything. We don't need flint and steel or whatnot, but... having a bit of extra coal is perfect. Alright, we'll throw that in there. We'll take half of the iron. We'll probably put back... yeah, got 2 chunks of coal in there. Alright, that's 1. Let's grab a little bit more wood from around here. We're on to a winner, I think, folks. Doing very, very well. We can check the swamp for clay. Which it should have some. And if not, you can find clay around most oceans. But it looks like we got some here. We'll just need 3 balls of that. So we can chuck 1. Honestly, I could get 1 more stone from down here. Let's just grab a bit more stone. We'll need to sacrifice a furnace for a minecart anyway. Yeah, that'll do. So let's get those cooking over some wood planks. We got 1 of those. I guess we can make a hopper now. I end up using the recipe book for a lot of these. Just because it's nice and easy. Yeah, we need to put one of these furnaces in with the minecarts. So that's gone. That's done with that. We make the flower pot here. The cactus is cooking now. And then we can probably cook the iron ore a little bit faster after that. Okay, cauldron. That'll do. What else do we need iron for? We need 2 buckets. One's going to be full of fish. The other one's going to be full of milk. We have enough for that. We don't have shears for the dead bush. So we will need a little bit more iron, but we'll get that on the way. Dead bushes in swamps? Nope. Get a bit more of this for the map. And we need iron for the compass for the map as well. So we could go back to that ravine. That's that. Right, saddle is going to be the thing that absolutely ruins this run, I think. But that's that for this furnace. Okay, next stop. Oh, we can craft the redstone block anytime we want as well. We don't need rabbits for anything this time. We will need a brown mushroom for the fermented spider eye, so let's get a brown mushroom from here. We have enough sugar for that, probably. We just need to find a spider. Do we need any more mob drops? We need gunpowder for the firework. That's the other thing. So we will need a bit more sugarcane, actually, looking at it. Because we need enough for the map. We've got to have paper for the firework. Oh, no, I think we will need, we'll need 8 for the map, won't we? So we're actually good there. We do still need gunpowder, though. And we need to find a pumpkin and a saddle. That's going to be difficult. Alright, let's get out here. Let's get that taken care of now. Let's keep moving. We need to find an enderman. We need to get some snow layers, which we could get from these icebergs if they've got any snow. We need a creeper and a spider to drop an eye. Hello, dolphin. What's the best way to find a saddle? Either dungeons, villagers, or fishing are the 3 places you get saddles, typically. There's snow up there, but it's pretty high up. Oh, wow, there's a lot of skeletons. We need arrows as well, I guess. And to be fair, I could get those from crafting instead. Let's quickly dip into this cave and see if there's any iron. There is. Perfect. Don't know why I'm still using this when I have a diamond pickaxe. Okay. That should be enough iron for everything else we need. Fingers crossed. Did not realize this was such an iron-rich card, but apparently it is. Oh yeah, one other thing I should mention, because you'll notice these skeletons don't really shoot me all that much. We are playing on easy. It's the default difficulty that this map comes with. And honestly, the only thing that will really change is the fact that skeletons are a lot less accurate and creepers don't deal quite as much damage, I think. But that's really the only other changes that we need to worry about. Oh, dang it. I always forget that firework rockets aren't part of the recipe book by default. Okay, we'll very quickly put that there. And we'll maybe throw a plank in there instead of the extra coal. I don't think we should need anything from this portal. Alright, we've already got the dead bush. I don't know what we'd need the shears for. There's some spiders over there. Let's get them. Spider eyes are one of those things that, like, drops surprisingly rarely. But we got one anyway. Good. Now all we have to do is not die, and I don't really have any food right now, so that's going to be kind of more difficult than I was hoping. But I can make a fermented spider eye. We're on the board. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. If we need to, we can grow wheat, because we have some bones here now. I might just go and, like, kill a couple of fish or something for food. But either way, now we can get this on the go. We can make a compass. The compass will let us make an empty map, so that's put us on the boards. We need activator rails, which requires 2 more iron. We do need more iron. I can't believe we need this much iron, but we do. I wonder if that nether portal will have any golden carrots in. That's an option. We don't really have any more iron down here. There's a couple of fish right there. There's a pig here in the forest, which I might just take out for the pork chops. Absolutely nothing. Obsidian, flint and steel, don't need either. Thanks for the achievement, though. Okay, well, we've got everything that we needed mob drops for, with the exception of an enderman. And endermen are going to be difficult to find. Unless we happen to, like, luck into one. In a cave, potentially. Either way, that's activator rail done. Throw those on the ground. Right. Let's put Thorn's leggings on, so at least if anything hits us, then we can hit back. Oh, hey, zombies. Let's make for high ground and see if we can get some food on the way. We'll grab some snow layers from right here, too. Is enough. Oh, there's a bee. How cute. Let's grab some coal from here as well. Anything going on around here? Not much, but at least I can see around me. Okay, great. We can craft this. Snow block into snow layers. The bone meal I've got is not going to be enough for us to farm wheat. Let's see if we can get some fish. We got salmon there. There's a cod down here. And that's the cod in a bucket that we need. Nice. That signifies that we at least have a line. We don't have a full blackout, which is what I'm going for, but fingers crossed. Right, we need to start looking for pumpkins, cows, any of that stuff. And yes, we need a sea pickle, but sea pickles are all over the place, so we can literally just, like, swim down, punch this. There we go. Sea pickle. There's a couple of sheep here that we can get wool for the painting. Get a bit of food from that too. Problem is we don't get that many... Oh. I have mob sounds turned all the way down, which is a mercy because horse killing sounds are terrible. Occasionally you get leather from that. It's not always the case. Ouch. Thank goodness for thorns right there. We don't really need any specific types of dye. The other thing I should be looking for is a jungle so we can get melons. That's going to be potentially kind of rough. Although, could be one over here. I mean, it is a jungle. It depends whether it has melons or not. And whether it gives me enough melons. It's a mushroom island right next to it. Pumpkins to my left? Good, I'll go back for them. Unless we see any over here that are more immediately in my line of sight. There's a zombie there. That's helpful. I mean, let's just do sticks for now. Any melons hiding in the jungle? I mean, there's creepers hiding in the jungle. We got some melons. Okay, good. The main thing is just not getting the melons blown up. Like that. Luckily, there are a few slices there. Nice, we got enough. We got to reform the melon into a full block. So you have to have enough slices to make a full melon. But now I have one left over that I can eat. After I ate this mutton. Yeah, the creepers guarding the melon was a little bit much. Okay, now we are potentially out of luck for Enderman unless we find one underground somewhere. I'm going to go back over here because people said there were pumpkins. It's actually disturbing how you can glue melons back together. Just got to like hold them in place for long enough that the sugar, the natural sugar causes them to stick together. Yeah, I have no idea where we're going to get the saddle from. Right, where were the pumpkins? Somebody said there were pumpkins. On my left as I was running through here. Oh, I see it. There's a ton of cows over there as well. Wait, that's a fox. You lied to me. Where are the pumpkins? And I don't have enough iron for the bucket of milk. That's kind of unfortunate. Anyway. What do I have leather for again? Oh, the books. That's right. So we will need more sugarcane after all. I had a bucket of water, but I used it to scoop up a fish, and that removes it from my my inventory. So there were pumpkins where exactly? Near the flower forest? So over on this side? I really wish I had your eyes, chat. Yeah, we might end up fishing for a saddle at this rate. Up the hill! There's the pumpkins. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Well, we need to make some torches so that we can make a... Oh, wait, no, it's not a jack-o'-lantern. Silly me. It's a pumpkin pie. That's entirely fine, then. We don't even need to worry about... about carving the pumpkin for that. So yeah, there'll be some sugarcane around. Turns out I needed way more sugarcane than I expected. I've already got wool for the painting. I just haven't crafted it yet. Now then, we need to figure out where we're getting this saddle from. We need to find a decent cave system that's going to potentially have some dungeons in it. There's bamboo over there. There may have been some sugarcane back by the swamp. But we can find some more anyway. More melons up there if we needed them. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about going back to the snow biome now. I want to keep looking. I want to keep looking for other stuff. Because sometimes if you keep moving, you can get lucky. You can find a village. The village might have a saddle and some hay bales or something, you know. We can also find little earthworks here, which might have some surface level iron, because you find iron sort of differently in this version than you do in the current version. But that's not looking too promising, so we'll leave that behind. Desert Temple, Badlands Mesa. You don't find abandoned mine shafts in this type of world generation. Like the small biomes, they removed abandoned mine shafts from generation. No easy dungeons or anything here. Nope. In a minute I'll need to stop and cook some food anyway, so... Let's get to the top of this hill, take a quick look around. Not seeing any villages or anything. Okay, well let's stop here. Let's cook the food. Probably just split this to make it faster. We'll throw down the crafting table, craft some more sticks, get the painting out of the way. And what else are we looking at right now? We need more iron for a bucket so we can get the milk. We've got enough wood for the bookshelf. We don't need the brown mushroom anymore. We still need to keep the egg and the pumpkin, but we need sugar for the pumpkin pie. It's really just wheat, sugarcane. That's kind of it. And the iron. And then we just need to find a saddle somewhere. Which, as I mentioned before, is going to be the thing that kills this run. Luckily you can find cows basically anywhere. Famous last words. Any old iron, any old iron. Good. That should be all we need. A quick look down here to see if there's anything. Nope. I'll grab a couple of blocks of coal as well. Am I alone in the run? Yeah, it's just me. Just a solo time. So swamps should have a little extra sugarcane in them, but not seeing too much over here. It's more of a fluke thing just based on how many blocks have exposed water on each side. Hasn't Bruno done a run with half a heart? Yeah, he got a sub-hour time with half a heart as well. I think sometimes he's better at doing it half heart than he is not, you know? Yeah, if I pass by any stuff, then that's a shame, but the important thing, I think, a lot of the time is just to keep moving. Because every time we move around like this, we have the opportunity to find Like, we walk over a spot that sounds like mob noises are coming from down below. That means we could find an Enderman that way. We could find a dungeon that way. So if I run past some sugarcane and you're like, no, the sugarcane's back that way, then don't worry about it, because we can find it anywhere in the world. We will find more. We can also find it right by a patch of cows that will hopefully give us some milk in a second. So let's get those cooking. Let's get this. We need 1 sugar so we can make pumpkin pie. That's that taken care of. We need enough paper for 3 books. And I'm going to replant this for this. Oh, wait, no, there's another one there that I didn't pick up. Perfect. We have enough paper for 3 books. So that means we can make the bookshelf. That's all good. And we can at least get the wheat started this way. But we need a lot more than this for a hay bale, so... So we got 4 wheat so far. Let's craft a bucket. We can do a quick bit of inventory management here because I don't need any of these stone or iron tools right now. You can give us the milk, thank you. Okay, now we need ender pearl. We need enough wheat to get ourselves a hay bale for the target block. And we need to find a dungeon that can give us a saddle. Or a desert temple, but dungeons are much more common in this type of world generation. Best place to find wheat easily is going to be either a village or an ocean ruin. Always worth checking around areas like this in case they are deserts with temples, but this one does not look like it is. So let's head to the ocean here and look for drowned. This is looking possible. Easy chest over here. What do we get? Enough wheat. Perfect. There wasn't a saddle in there as well or something, was there? That would be ridiculous. Okay. Well, we're at 31 minutes so far. Not too bad. We got 2 more drops to find. Searching for Enderman is always tough. But it's easier in, like, wide open spaces like this. And witches and stuff are spawning around here, so... get some blocks out. Well, I guess we got the boat. We'll just put them in a boat. The other problem with Enderman is they don't always drop ender pearls consistently. And we can't go to the nether and look for a warped forest biome or anything because the nether is disabled in Bingo. It doesn't work. You can't go to the nether. I would say we probably wouldn't be able to make a nether portal, but I do have a diamond pickaxe for this run, so... Oh, hello. Oh, they just walked straight over the boat. Thank you. Plan B. You are a menace. Zombie drop an iron ingot. Incredible. I hit the dolphin. No ender pearl from number 1. No ender pearl from number 2. Well, we've had a good run. But yeah, ender pearl drop rates are atrocious. I keep scrolling to the wrong weapon because I'm used to having my sword on 3 and my sword is on 4 right now. Oh, there's another one. Too far away to aggro. No, he's here now. Hi, friend. Get in the boat. I don't have a shield. I automatically held right click to try and block the explosion. Oh, that's the 3rd Enderman I've killed and no ender pearls. I think that also blew up my boat. Oh no, it's still there. Unbelievable. Well, at least the Endermen are relatively easy to see around here, so I might as well stay here, but... now that all of these mobs have spawned, I have to make an effort to run around and despawn them. And after this, we've still got to find a saddle. The other problem is if I get more damage done to me around here, I'm going to need more food. I guess there's enough cows around. Any more Endermen? Some caves there that could potentially be good to look for a spawner. Yeah, if one of those, like, nether portals or something had had a looting sword in it, that would have been useful. I always like hearing the mobs take damage because I've got Thorn's leggings on right now. Still no sign of more Enderman. There's another one over there. Obviously on the other side of all these creepers again. Dang it, okay. Run! Run for the coast! To the coast again! My boat is just over there somewhere. Ah! Don't do that! Right, if a skeleton shoots me now, I'm basically dead. Drop me an ender pearl, please. Come back. Yes! Ayo! Okay, right. Let's go look for a saddle. I have no food. The good thing about the saddle is that if we can find one in literally any dungeon, then we win. So, if I die around here, it's not going to be the biggest deal. Because I can just go look for a dungeon literally anywhere else. I can run in with no equipment, and as long as it has a saddle, I win. Dungeon, dungeon. No saddle. There's a saddle. Nailed it. Yes. Now die! 38:01. That's an improvement on our time. And I can click here to go back to the lobby, and I got all my stuff. Yeah! Alright, we done that one. We done that one. Very, very good. Sub 40 time. You know what? It is 3 hours. I think we might call it there. Rakuta, thank you so much for the 34 months. Block Oracle with the 4. I think I caught up on all of the alerts from the hype train and stuff. Yeah, that was a tough card. That was a tough card. Let's see what we'd got next. There's some tough ones on here as well, to be fair. There's some cards that you get, like, that look surprisingly easy. But then there's some that just require, like, a little extra luck or a little extra stuff. Like, when you have to get a sticky piston, that requires getting a slime ball. Finding slimes is usually pretty tough. You got cocoa beans and other bits and pieces on that one as well. Like, that one doesn't look too bad as long as you can get a nether portal that's got 2 blocks of gold. But again, the lead. You need a slime ball for the lead. Enchanted Book is rough, too. Because you so rarely get those from dungeon loot chests, which are the most common loot chests on the map. Again, the saddle. Like, dungeon loot always comes up. But sometimes, if it's a golden apple, that's probably the best one, because then you can just craft one, right? But you've pretty much always got to get, like, an enchanted... you got to get a golden apple or a saddle, sometimes both, or an enchanted book. Like, there's always one from that category on here. Are there some that force you to find even though you can create it? Oh, no. I mean, you can enchant a book, but you've got to be able to craft an enchanting table, right? There's some stuff that you physically can't craft. Like, it's impossible to craft, like, seagrass, for example. You need to make shears to get it. But, yeah, there's some, like, you know... You can find pumpkin pie in some village chests, but it's not going to count on you getting that, right? Like, this one doesn't look too bad. Again, golden apple and block of gold. That's a little bit rough. Bone block is also kind of rough, because you can't just get one from the nether. You've got to kill at least 3 skeletons. See? There's a challenge in every card. But I think we're probably going to leave it there. We'll end on a high, because I did get a pretty good time, as far as my recent record goes, at least. So we're going to raid somebody else here on Twitch, and that's going to be it from me. We'll be back on Thursday with another stream for you folks. Once again, if you haven't checked out today's Survival Guide, not Survival Guide, Empires episode, then please do. Would love people to see what I'm doing over on Empires. And let's see who's out here streaming on Twitch. Who's around? I tell you what, we got speedrun vibes going on with the bingo runs, so let's go and raid Malcolm. Let's go raid Music Man 1017. He's just started a fresh random seed run, playing in 1.16.1, of course, everyone's favorite version to speedrun Minecraft in. Malcolm's a great dude, very, very talented guy. Musician, entertainer, Minecraft streamer, pretty talented speedrunner as well. So check him out. He's just found a village. This looks like a good run. Hopefully the raid doesn't interrupt it too much. Hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to be back with you folks on Thursday. We'll do some more stuff around Empires, probably some building by that point. But until then, take care. My name's been Pixlriffs. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.